Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast 314. Hey, it's fall. You guys have had some great questions. I appreciate the emails. I appreciate all the love. You guys are phenomenal. So thank you so much for your continuing support. Why we keep doing the podcast. I also want to thank my good friend at Bedford's Camera, bedfords.com. So they got Photocon coming up here in 2 weeks. Great event. They're going to have special pricing. They're going to have some great presentations. They're going to have some great education. It is for us photographers. So head over and join in at Photocon. Can't do that. Remember, you can always call the folks there at Bedford's Camera, say hello, ask for help, ask for products. You know you can get the best prices, the best service, and of course you're going to get that Moose discount. Just got to say the word. So, lastly, please thank Bedford Camera for sponsoring the Moose podcast. It makes a difference. So, thank you, bedfords.com. I'm going to get right into this week's episode. I had a heck of a time figuring out the questions I was going to ask. It's probably going to run a little long. So I'm going to start off with I'm going to say the most difficult photograph or question, I should say, and then work towards the easier. So the first question comes from Lynn, and they ask, uh, I like sharing my photos, but after your last podcast, it has me rethinking, should I keep sharing my special spots? Any advice would be helpful. Well, I believe, Lynn, you're referring to podcast 313. And yeah, a lot of you have reached out to me with support, and sadly, way too many with your own stories of how a place that you cherished, thought was Shangri La, was either disturbed, destroyed, or obliterated by photographers. So, Lynn, it's do I have any advice about sharing your photos? Well, yeah, you got to keep sharing your photos. There's no way around it. And it's many years ago, it was brought to my attention that, well, back up a second. I like to what they call geotag or embed the GPS information for a lot of the critters I photograph for a number of reasons, but most of the time it's on because I take a photograph, and there are times where I want to share that with friends of mine who are biologists and researchers. And having that information, that location embedded in the photograph, just makes it a whole lot simpler for them to do and find out and ask the questions they might have that what they're seeing that I'm sharing with them. Well, that information can go with that photograph of yours when you share it. It's been a while, been a number of years now. We were in Africa, Brent, Jake, and myself, and we just came up to the most god awful sight, and that was a rhino and its baby that had just been killed by poachers. And we were told the story of how poachers will put somebody in with one of these trips with their iPhone. They take the iPhone picture, which of course embeds the location data. And as soon as that vehicle for that wildlife tour drives off, the poachers have this information and they come over and they poach. I mean, that's the really deadly use of that geotagging. In my case, people were taking my information off the images I shared in that location, and they go to that location. So, in sharing photographs, one thing I made sure I do is that information gets scrubbed. And you have to actually kind of do a little work if you're going to do it in Photoshop or a Lightroom to scrub that metadata. The next thing I do, just because I'm paranoid, besides scrubbing it from there, I also make sure I have right click protection on the pictures I share, that so people can't grab that data. But you can also, let's say you have this magnificent spot that you want to photograph, and I'm just going to use my backyard here in the Bitterroots. And rather saying I took this picture at Lake XX, you could say you took the photograph at a lake in the Bitterroots. So rather than saying the specific location and the name, you can just give a general idea. And I see that in a lot of folks' posts, and it's really kind of smart. You kind of give a general neighborhood, but by the time somebody, nobody, be honest, photographers are kind of lazy, right? And by the time they do all the research to find out exactly where that spot is, yeah, they've lost interest. So yeah, Lynn, it's a really hard um question to answer as far as I'm concerned. Sharing photographs is still really important. There's just way too many folks who don't understand how important our wild heritage is, how much we got left, and how much we have to lose. And those of us who are fortunate to go out and shoot need to keep shooting. But in the process of sharing, um, I guess you could say just don't have full disclosure. Just watch some of the things you put out there so people can see the wonders, but know not exactly where you stood in witnessing it. Gee, Lynn, yeah, my heart goes out to you. I know what you mean, and but that's a great question. So thanks. The next one, I guess the most difficult one, I'm gonna um comes from Leslie, and she goes, she said, "How do you say fall in your photos besides just having colorful leaves? I find it a challenge. Thanks." Leslie, that's a really great question. Um, there's a number of ways of saying fall without having a photograph of just a bunch of red or orange. I personally, I like to have a couple of other elements in the photograph. One, I love to have green, green and red, Christmas colors. We really like those colors. So when you have green in the photograph, and it can just be a little 2 or 3% of the photograph could be that green, the mind's eye latches onto that, and then those colors become more vivid. Another idea is that you have bare trees in with all the fall color, because that is another way of saying fall. And of course, the entire photograph would not be red because a number of the trees would have no leaves. Another way, which, and this is the hardest way, and when I keep looking for the opportunity, is fall color with that really freaky early winter snowstorm. Fall color with snow is just really visually powerful. I have one shot that I've took decades ago with a D1 in Yosemite Valley, and it is a oak leaf, fall color oak leaf that had literally fallen off the tree and was in the snow. And the sun had hit it and warmed up, and it kind of melted its pattern in the snow. So you saw the snow, you saw the leaf. That I've always really loved that as a way of saying fall in so many ways. So there are options. You just kind of got to think a little bit about colors themselves and the word fall. You could take Deborah Sandbridge has got some great shots of fall color, but it's not the whole photograph. The photographs I have in mind, a number of them are shooting up into a canopy, and that canopy is, you know, uh, um, dropping its leaves. I was thinking, I was going to try to say the word shed. Oops, wrong word. Is a canopy with the leaves falling, and that's a really, taking. You could say liberty with the word fall by capturing fall leaves. I just wanted, Leslie, to remind you that also, when it comes to fall leaves, two tools to keep in mind that can really make a difference. One is the polarizer to remove the reflection of the blue sky on the leaves, and two is underexposure, because underexposure is a much more potent tool for doing color saturation than actually hitting saturation slider in post. But great question. I look forward to seeing your results, Leslie. All right. The next one on the lengthy kind of questions. John asks, "Why are you selling your flash gear?" Well, and then John goes on to cover several things, and the bottom line is, no, John, I'm not giving up on Flash, nor am I selling all my Flash gear. So the Pro Photo B1, B2, B10, all those are still staying in the system. What you saw was the small flash, the SB5000, and all the accoutrements I have to have a basically a mini studio. First, John, I would refer you to the telephoto Profoto A10 video I did. There's a part of the reason why I am moving away from the SB5000 on all that gear. Um, and I should preface this. If you go back and if you were to read any of my stuff on Flash or my videos, the one thing that's really common is that I said I hate using Flash because it's so complicated and time consuming. Now, one of those things that's to me is time consuming is setting up the boxes for the light, the light modifiers. You know, none of them just pop open and just go. You have to especially with, actually attaching it to the SB5000, it's just not clean and simple. It takes time. Flash is difficult enough for as it is for me. So taking time to make all that stuff work and that it's not fun. So there's that part. I want to have it easy and fun. My cake and eat it too. Now the SB5000 does a great job. But when it comes to the actual light itself, we have evolved our technology, and that rectangular shape of most flash units that go in the hot shoe, that's not really the light source we are used to as humans. We're used to the round light coming from the sun. So the Profoto A10, and why did I wait to the A10 is I'll get to it in a second. That round light is a just a simply gorgeous light source. So that's one thing. I love that. I mean, that's the main thing is the quality of the light coming from that flash. And I encourage you again to look at that video where I have examples. Next, the power of the Profoto A10. That power doesn't really isn't really important when I'm using a flash for telephoto work. I'm not using it for exposure. I'm using it for color. That power is really important when you start putting it through a bunch of silk. That just cuts down a stop or more. So the extra power coming from that light of the A10 going through the silk makes it possible to have a whole lot more power in a beautiful light source that's portable. Next, the actual um, click technology of that Profoto has brought to their flash. They have their click Octa 24-inch light modifier. And it is got the same beautiful silks and designs and everything that the big light modifiers have for like the B10 and the B1 and what have you. But with this one, you literally just pull up very easily this half moon crescent thing, and you pull it up and it clicks and snaps into place. And that's all you got to do to have a complete light modifier. It takes seconds, seconds. I'm planning on making a video just so people understand this. Seconds to have that up and going. And then the actual flash unit, A10, the magnets, it just clicks into place. So you can be up and operational within seconds with that flash and the light modifier. It's that fast. And then the quick connect, and that's the only word I can think of it, for attaching the whole system to a light stand. You just put it down and rotate the collar, and the whole thing is fast, easy, simple, and the light is gorgeous. So basically, if you were looking at that blog post photograph, all that stuff that had to go along to make the system work is been replaced with just two pieces and incredible ease of setting it up with beautiful light. So actually, John, I'm not getting out of Flash. If anything, I might be. This is gonna be weird. I'm glad I'm sitting down when I say this. I might be getting more into Flash because it's just quality's better, the ease of operation is better. It works, and well, there you go. The next question comes from Art. Is joining NPS worth it? For those who don't know, NPS does not stand for National Park Service, but yes, getting your annual pass is worth it. I'm excited because I'm now old folk and I can get my official lifetime national park pass now. Pay for it once is good the rest of my life because I've got that golden age. But no, NPS stands for Nikon Professional Services. So if you go to the Nikon website and you click on NPS, you can see the requirements for joining NPS. And yes, Art, I think NPS is really worth joining for a number of reasons. Especially if you go, and I believe it's called I should have looked this up, I think the platinum level, which is $300. And people go, well, $300. But here's the thing. You pay the $300 to get the NPS fee. And we're just going to talk at the moment about the dollar, here. You pay that $300 fee, and then you go buy yourself, let's say you go buy, make it real simple. Um, you go buy the Z 400 When you make that purchase, you get that $300 back that you just paid for NPS. So with that purchase, and yes, you have to make the purchase to get the money back, but you get that $300 back. So you're joining NPS for free. And then at that platinum level, you'd have to go look at the website, but you get all these perks. And I'm not talking about the swag that comes, even though the Yeti glass was really cool. I'm talking about priority repairs, priority purchases. So let's say um, the brand new Nikon something comes out, camera body, you want it. You fill out the NPS priority form, and then you're going to get that camera body before everybody else or lens. So the number of perks you get basically for free once you make that purchase. I mean, the NPS, I've been an NPS member and I've been at Silly. I've been as like since I think it's 80 or 81. Um, it's just, yeah, it's very much worth it, Art. So I highly recommend everybody look into it and apply. And if you can make the requirements. I guess you could say I left the simplest question for last, and that comes from Dennis. He says, the Z9, it's been a year. Still love it? Oh, baby, do I. Yeah, Art, sorry, Dennis, the Z9, yeah, I still love it. As far as I am concerned, it is the finest camera body I have had the opportunity and the good fortune to shoot in my entire career. I shoot a whole lot more images, and not just because it's 20 frames per second, but because of all the options it does provide. That includes video. ProGrade just came out with a 2 terabyte card. Yeah, 2 terabyte. And I'm thinking, for some of the video work, that could come in handy because you can do a 120-minute clip. And then I'm going, okay, if I do that, I'm gonna have to buy a new MacBook Pro because I have to have a place to store this stuff. That's okay. The Z9 solves so many problems that, you know, God, I just love that camera. Simply love it. So yeah, appreciate you asking there, Dennis. But that love affair is not going away. So you guys had some great questions. Speaking of which, I am on a new app. It's called Any Question. It's a great place, and I'm really loving it. I forget what I meant. I'm over 100 questions answered already, or something like that, and I've not even been there for a month. Bottom line, you write a question out, and then I get on the video and I give you a video answer. You get a whole lot more out of it, I think, that way. And so you haven't checked it out, head to my website, click on the link, get the app. Any question? Hey, I'm here to help any way I can. Lastly, I have workshops. I actually have a couple holes in the 2023 workshops. Love to have you join me. You folks that listen to the podcast are my kind of people who I love to go out and shoot with. So check them out. We have a lot of fun out there at the very minimum. We tend to come back with some nice pictures too. You folks have a great week. Get out there and shoot. And remember to make every click your story.